The Rangers are going to be one of the most active teams at the trade deadline. On today's show, we're breaking down what the Rangers should do, some hypothetical trades, who are the most tradable prospects for the Rangers, and what is their biggest need. All that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, founder host for all 5 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Today is Thursday, July 27th, and your Rangers are just 5 days, I think 5 days away from the trade deadline as we stand. Joining me on today's show is Grant Schiller, the prospect prognosticator at Baseball Prospectus. Grant, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's nice to talk with the only other person in America who spent a weekend vacation in Amarillo, Texas this summer. It's nice to know there's the fellow sicko out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the appreciator of Amarillo. And of course, as you drive out there, you have to listen to the song Amarillo by Morning. It's legally required.
I failed that test.
I'm sorry, you are going to prison. That's that. Can't believe you admit to a crime on this podcast. But on today's show, we are talking about some maybe potentially criminal trades that the Rangers will be making, maybe some criminal underpays or overpays, and some big moves for the Texas Rangers. But we each have 3 different trades for this first segment. One big trade and a couple of small trades. Both of them, I think, are very predictable targets for the Texas Rangers. But I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. This is. I'm going to be the only podcast this entire week to talk about Shohei Ohtani potentially being traded. But my trade is Shohei Ohtani and Carlos Estevez from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of California of the United States of America for Ezekiel Duran, Brock Porter, Jack Leiter, Justin Foscue, Thomas Sajaci, and Davis Wenzel. Now, Grant, would you do this trade?
No. First of all, I don't think Ohtani's going to get traded. But second of all, and I'm probably going to be very against the grain here, I legitimately have had and continue to have Zeke Duran as a Rule 6 player, and I'm not giving up 6 years of that for 2 months of Ohtani.
5.5.
Sure, 5.5 years of that for 2 months of Ohtani. I get it.
Potentially, and Carlos Estevez, who is a free agent after next season. So...
yeah, he's not as good as his top line numbers, though. It does help, especially since it's such a position of need. But I think I'm too high on Duran. I don't think that Ohtani would resign here. I think it's almost a foregone conclusion he's a Dodger.
Why would he be a Dodger, though? Dodgers are lame. And also, Chris Young, the salesman, though. Is that not true? In the back of your mind? Like that's in the back of my mind. If he's here for 2 months and he gets his first taste of playoff baseball, which he almost assuredly would, that, and like also just the vibe of like, I want to be low key. I don't want to be nobody look at me. I'm just going to go do baseball. And that's this team's whole vibe. That's like my entire selling point of like trading for Ohtani.
It's not impossible. If you think you have a legitimate chance at re-signing him, that changes it. If you don't, which I don't, here's the thing. The playoffs are too much luck-based to invest too much on a rental. Now, what you invest more on is winning the division, right? And getting that first-round bye, getting home field advantage. That's what impacts you more, is really these next 2 months. And it certainly helps with that. I think right now it obviously feels like the sky is falling. But I think the Rangers are going to win the division either way, just mostly because I think both teams' pitching staffs, as built right now, are going to be something of a disaster. I know the Astros have thrown the ball well, but they're overworking the bullpen, and Bielak and France stink and can't keep getting away with this. They're really bad, and Christian Javier appears to be, he's too young to be washed, but he appears to be in a really bad spot. So that's 3 of their 5 rotation spots that I have no confidence in moving forward, which pretty much mirrors the Rangers.
So you were just a hater today.
I mean, that's kind of both teams are at the same spot. Almost every contender
Except the
has
Rangers
pitching
actually have a good
problems.
lineup and not flash
Right.
in the pan Chaz McCormick.
Right. The Rangers have a much deeper lineup, which is why I take them with a slight edge the rest of the way. But they definitely need to do something to solidify that edge because it is very tight with 2 months to go.
Okay, I will rephrase it this way. This is still my trade proposal. This is still what I think it would take to get Ohtani, which I'm like 60-70% sure that Ohtani's not being traded at this point because the stupid Angels keep stupid winning and stupid teams. Freaking Yankees ruining everything.
Frankly, it's probably a good thing for the Rangers long term if they keep Ohtani because he ain't staying there, and it
No,
just
I
puts the
know,
Angels
but
down.
just I have been infected with Chris Youngbrain into thinking that the Rangers can sign anybody. I mean, they landed Jacob deGrom after losing 94 games. I mean, they landed Corey Seager and Marcus Semien after losing 100 games for the first time since the freaking 70s. And I'm like, what can't this man do? If the Rangers could find a way to trade for Shohei Ohtani, just Shohei, without giving up any of their big three young guys in Duran, Carter, or in the big leagues, Duran, Tavares, Young, or Evan Carter, would you find a way to do it?
Probably, yeah. I mean, you're giving up Walcott, which in that scenario, which is tough, but he's far enough away. There's enough risk that, despite all his talent, there's flame out there that I think you take the shot for Ohtani at that point.
Even if it's Walcott and Anthony Gutierrez?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'd cry a little inside, but
I'd probably cry a little outside, but like mixed tears of joy and tears of pain and sadness. This is like, I don't know, man. Like, I was talking with someone on Twitter about like, oh, well, if the Rangers did that deal, if the Rangers, did trade all of those people for Ohtani, then like they're going to be in the position of the Royals where they win one World Series and then they're trash for like 5 years. And I'm like, I would do that. I would do that. If you tell me I'm winning a World Series, I don't care if the Rangers are 0-162 for 3 years straight. I would do it. I would do it so fast. Easily. I would not have a second thought. Like it would be.
Would you rather be the Rain, or let's say, who's been good for a while without a? Would you rather be the Rays right now or the Nationals? Because I'd much rather be the Nationals.
I think I'd rather be the Nationals. Like it's close because the Nationals, like, the Nationals also have like a lot of like upside now, but like they didn't get to fully enjoy their whole like World Series, which is a whole different conversation because the entire world ended for a little bit right after they won their World Series, and people kind of forget about that. I don't, because the Astros lost the World Series, and I will never forget about any of those. Just like the time where they lost the 2017 World Series because they cheated and the Dodgers won, and Corey Seager is a 2-time World Series champion. But that's a conversation for another day.
Speaking of, I have realized this series. I guess I realize it every time, but I forget in between just how much I hate the Astros.
Yeah, it's every single bit of it.
Fun to hate. Like I just hate them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially Kyle Seager. Well, Kyle Seager. No, Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker. It's just every single time. It's just like freaking. Like I went on an entire rant on yesterday's show. It's like just freaking stop it, dude, stop it. I'm so sick of it. Anyway, coming up, we're gonna get into Grant's big trade proposal, one that's might even cost more than what the Rangers would get up for a potential Shohei Ohtani deal. But first, it's word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt from your shop and get cash back. It is just that easy. The average Ibotta user earns up to $120 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. Or you could use the cash back you buy to buy that flight that you've been eyeing, or that game that you've been dying to go to, or that fancy dinner that you've been craving. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners just $5 for trying Ibotta. Just use the code MLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app. Use code MLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use code MLB. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, Friday's show, I'll be doing a crossover with Javier Reyes of Locked On Padres to preview that weekend series, a crucial weekend series, and the last one the Rangers have before the trade deadline. The Rangers take on the Padres this weekend. You can catch every pitch on the Hometown broadcast on Sirius XM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, Grant Schiller has a big trade proposal for us. Grant, what is your big splash move that the Rangers make at the trade deadline?
First off, I hate you for making me do this. I hate the fake trades, and I always make fun of Bowden for it every year and say he doesn't know what he's doing, and then you make me do it, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
My encouragement was that all trades are fake until they're real. So,
but with that being said, I'm going for guys with more service or more years of controllability. I'm doing the Keller and Bednar package from Pittsburgh. With that, I mean, you really just have a very short list of prospects that can headline a package like that in the system. I went with Sebastian Walcott because I really don't want to trade Carter.
That's Mitch Keller and David Bednar, for those of you who are unfamiliar.
Yes. Mitch Keller and David Bednar. I went Sebastian Walcott, Luis Angel Acuna, Owen White, Justin Foscue, and Josh Steven. So
I think is it Stefan or Steven?
It's pronounced Steven. It's spelled Stefan and pronounced Steven. It's odd.
Okay, well, I've been pronouncing it wrong this entire time. I am deeply embarrassed. It's fine.
It's fine. I mean,
he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen to the podcast, so I think we're fine. If you do, Josh, I am very deeply sorry. I will write you a handwritten apology note. But you got to actually tell me that you listen to the podcast, admit it to other people before you get that handwritten apology note. So I don't know if that's worth it.
Maybe no free ads.
Yeah, no free ads.
So what do you think, sir?
I think I'd do it. I don't know if the Pirates would. It is a tempting deal. And I like of all the guys, I think you initially start with Mitch Keller, who has been less fantastic recently than he was earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, there was talks about like him being like the best pitcher in the NL. Yeah. Like he was just that good.
He's a middle of the rotation guy.
Mm-hmm. And the Rangers could use that. They could use that right now. Because I mean, Nathan Eovaldi is in flux at the moment. I am deeply frightened. I am deeply, deeply frightened about him and John Gray, who I chalked that last start up to taking 112 mile an hour liner off his plant leg. The fact that he didn't miss a start at all, much less take an IL stint, is nice. And he showed a lot of swing and miss there. But I am the biggest Marty P defender in the world, and I am deeply frightened about him starting a playoff game. I love Dane Dunning. Yeah. I love what he's done this year, but he throws 89, and it's not sustaining. Maybe it is, but there is a very small chance that it is. And I love David Bednar, but I am deeply terrified of trading for any closer. So adding Mitch Keller to the deal, who Mitch Keller is a free agent after in 2026. So he's not even ARB eligible until next year. And Bednar, it would be tough to get him out of there. He was born in Pittsburgh, raised in Pittsburgh, went to school in Lafayette College in Eastern Pennsylvania. So Easton, not Eastern. Maybe it is in Eastern Pennsylvania, but it is Easton, Pennsylvania is the city. So he's a local boy, and they love him. It would take a lot to trade for him because he's also got a lot of years of service time. He is not free agent until 2027 as well. He's been fantastic this year, got a lot of swing and miss. He's a righty, a 1.15 ERA in 39 innings this year, 47 strikeouts, just 9 walks, a guy in the bullpen who doesn't walk anybody. Oh, that would be so nice. That would be so nice. Stares at Aroldis Chapman and like half the entire pen. Oh God, yeah. But yeah, I'd do it. I don't know if Pirates would, and I don't know if you could get away without giving up one of Evan Carter or Ezekiel Duran, which like feels like the sticking point for me for both those guys, especially after the day that Evan Carter had today. As we're recording this Wednesday, he had a multi extra base hit day, including a grand slam and a double, and I believe a walk as well, because it's Evan Carter. Why wouldn't he have a walk? Which was like his 11th home run of the year, and he crushed that one.
He did.
But yeah, if you can get away with getting both of those guys, show up your two biggest weaknesses, and get years of control to where if David Bednar does the reliever thing and like kind of washes out, because that's what relievers do, even the very, very good ones. I feel like I'd feel a lot better, especially because like the Rangers rotation next year kind of scares the poop out of me.
Me too. They're gonna have to go do it all over again in free agency.
Oh gosh, they are. Or Andrew Heaney's coming back. Which I don't know if that's better or worse. It's gonna be Cody Bradford, and Dane Dunning in the rotation at this point, which I feel better about Cody Bradford, which is a great thing for Cody Bradford and not a great thing for me or my mental health or for this Texas Rangers rotation. But yeah, we do have a few more hypothetical trades, and we're going to get into what the Rangers' actual biggest need is and the most tradable prospects on this team that actually have value. But first, this word from our sponsors. Shout out to the Everydayers for making Locked On Rangers first listed every single day on Saturday show. That's right, we're having a Saturday show. I'll be doing my prospect of the week recap. Also talking with Rangers prospect Cam Cauley. Should be a very, very fun show. Talking a lot of minor league ball. And maybe by then the Rangers will have made some trades that will make us in our epic trade proposals look silly. But we both have a couple of minor trades that we have wrapped up here. Not any big blockbusters, but Grant, I will let you go with your small trade number one first. Who was your first small trade for the Texas Rangers?
Well, I'm just gonna stay in the bullpen here. I'm sending Alex Spees, Davis Wenzel, and complex righty Ivan Oviedo for White Sox reliever Keenan Middleton. So Middleton has been he's bounced around a little bit, really not that great in his career, but he has been really strong this year, and it's coincided with him making his changeup his primary pitch. He's thrown that 44% of the time now. He's controllable through next year, getting a lot of whiffs, a lot of ground balls, still walking too many, but as long as you do the others, keep the ball in the park, good strikeouts, good ground balls, you're going to be okay. So I think he'd be a really valuable middle of the bullpen piece, a big upgrade over what the Rangers have there. And you're really moving pieces that, Speeds has potential to be a long-term big leaguer, but the control track record isn't very long here, long at this point still. Wenzel's not really part of the picture here, and Oviedo is just pick a name out of a hat flyer. It's just the one I picked.
Yeah, that's a fair one. Another guy, speaking of in the bullpen, actually, I'm pretty sure all of these trades are bullpen because, rental relievers like
that might coincide with what the Rangers need.
Yeah, it just might. But this guy is, speaking of guys who throw real hard and don't necessarily know where it's going. I am trading for Cardinals reliever Jordan Hicks, right-handed pitcher who's 26 years old. His fastball velocity is in the 100th percentile. He averages 101 miles an hour with his fastball. He is in the 91st percentile of K rate and the 8th percentile of walk rate. So a lot of velocity, a lot of not necessarily know where it's going. Might know where it's going a little bit more than Alex Spees. He is a free agent after this year. He has had a lot of really good seasons for the Cardinals this year. He's got a 3.67 ERA, which I don't think fully paints the picture of what he's doing. His whip is at 1.5, not necessarily ideal, but having another guy with some absolute gas, and maybe the Rangers can fix him because the Cardinals don't really know how to fix players. He's had a couple of seasons with an ERA under 4. Like he's been kind of wild and a lot of strikeouts for his career. Maybe Mike Maddox, I'm about to say Greg Maddox. Maybe Mike Maddox can fix him and make him throw a little bit of strikes. And for him, I am trading Takeo Roby and Alejandro Ozuna. Nothing too special. Guys, I really like Takeo Roby. He hasn't had the best season numbers wise. I'm still a believer in him being maybe a ceiling of a mid-rotation starter. Who knows if he gets there? And Ozuna is just a guy who I really like, who's in Hickory and having a fine season. So, yeah, maybe the Rangers can fix him. Maybe not. But he definitely adds some gas to that pen.
And Mike Maddox definitely knows him. Yeah, and honestly, I like Roby, but there's lots of health risk there. And you probably talked about as a back of the rotation guy, which honestly the Rangers need that depth right now. But it's not a.
He's not coming up tomorrow.
Huh?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, Roby's not coming up tomorrow, so it's
No.
not like that. That's really interfering with their 2024 plans.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Let's see. For my last trade, I'm gonna stay with the flamethrowers.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna trade for Brent Suter from Colorado, whose fastball velocity averages 86.1 miles an hour.
Ooh, look out, man! That's too
Yes,
much
sir.
gas. Do you think Jonah Heim's hand can handle that kind of gas?
Honestly, I'd probably bring Leon back just to catch him, because you don't want to risk the major injury. But I love this guy. Like he doesn't throw hard, he doesn't miss bats, and nobody can barrel him. It's like I guess it's kind of like Alex Claudio was.
Oh my
a
gosh,
few
that's
years back.
exactly what I was about to say. I was about to
Yep.
say, does he have a super weird changeup that's super effective?
No, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how he's so effective. There's nothing that looks like Alex Claudio's changeup did. Although the changeup is probably Suter's best pitch.
Man, that Claudio changeup was so fun and so good.
It was
Like,
it was wonderful.
I love
I
it
mean,
so much.
I miss it. But he's super fun. He's fine. He can go more than one inning. Not overly exciting, but he's fine. He's usable. He's controllable through next year. You really don't have to give up almost anything to get him because he's a soft tossing lefty reliever in arbitration with 1 year left, and he's really coming up on his dollar value in terms of arbitration next year. So I've got Daniel Cueva and who did I put? Some random flyer with him. Let's see, Tim Brennan, who is barely even a flyer, but gets ground balls, so might be a fit for Colorado. Going for Brent Suter.
I say no deal. That's too much. All right, my last one is
86.
That's fair. That's fair. 86 is just, it's too much. Anyway, I'm revisiting some old territory, some relationships that have been there. This should not be that expensive. This my price might actually be too expensive. But I have the Rangers trading for Scott Barlow, right-hand reliever from the Royals, and I'm giving up Mitch Bratt, the no longer teenage sensation star of the World Baseball Classic. Barlow has not had a super successful season with the Kansas City Royals, which, shocker, not a lot of pitchers or people or anyone related to that organization have had a successful season. But his baseball savant numbers are very nice. He also walks a crap ton. The velocity is not anything special, 93 miles an hour, but the slider is very, very nice. The curveball is very, very nice. Average exit velo is in the top 3% of baseball. Hard hit rate, top 4% of baseball. Chase rate, top 9% of baseball. I like it. Gets good whiffs, gets strikeouts, gets good spin on his fastball and his breaking stuff. So I'm making that trade for him because the Rangers need another righty in their pen. And I like Mitch Bratt. He's kind of come back down to earth the last month or so. I still think he's a decent prospect, but nothing that I'm going to lose sleep over giving up for a guy like Scott Barlow.
Yeah, pretty much if you tell me a reliever that doesn't suck, I'll be in. Bratt's also one of those guys who you're not going to really know a thing about until he gets to Double-A.
Yeah.
A-ball hitters right now, it's pretty rough. If you can pound the zone and you can spin a breaking ball or get over a changeup, you're going to do well.
I do have one thing that's the hugest feather in his cap. Scott Barlow has 12 saves for the Kansas City Royals in the year of our Lord 2023. So yeah, that feels like that should be that should be like 50 for this Royals team. I'm surprised they have 12 wins. Honestly, I kind of forgot.
Yeah, I mean, the number one number you got to look at is saves. Number 2 holds. After that, maybe everything else.
Yeah, I mean, who needs ERA or Ks per 9 or walks per 9 or WHIP or FIP or XFIP or XWOBA or all that nonsense? All you need to know is, does he get the job done when it matters most? That's what we're here for. We are the anti-analytics group, obviously. That's all of us.
Bryce, could you please tell me his pitching record?
Yeah, he's 2-4. Actually, you know what? He's a loser. Wins last year, 7-4 with a 2.18 ERA in 69 games, which is really nice for those Kansas City Royals. He has twice as many walks, actually not quite as twice as many walks per nine this year, but nearly as many. He had 2.7 Ks or walks per nine last year and 5.2 walks per nine this year. Ks per nine for his career, 10.7. He's a free agent after this year. He's 30 years old. The Royals have absolutely zero need for this guy. And Dayton Moore, maybe he can sweet talk the Royals into giving him up for free for the years that he had to suffer in Kansas City of not having Texas barbecue, but having Kansas City barbecue. Ugh, the audacity.
I'd be up for that. Yeah.
Maybe less than for free, but just some mid prospect. Anyway, let's go. Each of us go back and forth. I think we can each name two guys, but I just kind of like off the cuff. Who would you say is the most tradable, right? The prospect who you feel the best about, that you feel also the best about trading because there's not really a spot for them?
I mean, it's got to be the infielders, right? So, I mean, the biggest problem you're going to have is, I guess, like we mentioned earlier, there's not many guys who can headline a big deal. The list of those guys probably stops after Carter, Duran, and Walcott. But past that, guys who can headline maybe smaller deals or be the
Not
second piece
Acuna?
of the bigger deal. I'm looking at Acuna and I'm looking at Foscue. And no, I don't think Acuna can really headline a huge deal.
He's a top 100 guy though, like universally.
He is. He is, but
what was he in BP? 59?
59. But it was a historically weak top 50. And I think most
you're
teams,
just such a hater today.
The minor leagues stink right now, Bryce. They stink.
Evan Carter doesn't, though.
I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Evan Carter doesn't stink, though.
No, Evan Carter, real not stinky. Real not stinky. I think most teams have a second division starter grade on Acuna or even a strong utility grade on him. So I don't think he headlines a huge deal.
What do you mean by huge deal? Like the Keller or
like Ohtani, Keller, Bednar, yeah, that kind of stuff.
You think he's good enough to headline Bednar by himself?
Yes.
Wow.
That I'd say he can headline Bednar by himself.
Okay. I thought you were saying yes, no. I might do it if Luis Angel Acuna is the headliner for Bednar. I might be able to swallow that price, even if he ends up turning out to be fantastic, which I think he might. By the way, he played center field today over Evan Carter.
He did.
Which is wild.
Somebody wants to get a look at him there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they absolutely do, which is also why I think Evan Carter is still in Double-A, and not already in Triple-A like a month ago, which is a whole other thing. But yeah, I think Foscue is like the top guy of like. I think we both have the same opinion of like he's kind of changed my mind a little bit this year, but there's still no place for him. Like there's just nowhere in the next like 5 years. There's just not a place for Justin Foscue. So like, I think he could be a big leaguer for. Like he could start for the White Sox probably today at second base. Like I really think that, and he could make an impact there. Maybe even actually, I don't know who they have at third. Who do they have? I think they have Yohan Moncada at third. So maybe not third base, but second base, who I think they're starting Elvis at second. He'd be fine there. Not great, but I think he'd be fine and an upgrade there. So I think he's the guy who I'm including there. But of the Rangers' needs, which would you say is more pressing? Adding somebody to the starting rotation or somebody to this bullpen?
I'd add a starter because I think there's only two guys you can even get away with starting in a playoff game right now.
Really?
I think so. I mean, you have to have really good stuff that you can let air out to be a good starting pitcher in postseason baseball these days. And that's not Perez. It's not Dunning. Maybe Heaney can get you a few innings on his best day, but he's not reliable.
Yeah. I think can get you.
I mean, you really have to fix both. You really do. But if I'm only fixing one, I'm probably getting another starter, and then I'm probably ruining some of these arms by making them throwing the bullpen on there in between days.
Mm-hmm. By that you mean Owen White?
Oh no! I'm talking like Eovaldi and Gray, and have them do the just air it all out, all playoffs thing.
Oh, geez. If you do that to Eovaldi, his arm's going to fall off. It's going to literally fall off.
Before.
He's your number one in your rotation for this year and for the first half of next year. I don't think you're trading for a guy that's better than Eovaldi right now. I don't think you do that this year, for at least for not for Eovaldi. Maybe for Gray, but like I really don't think you're doing that to Eovaldi. But for me, I think it's the bullpen. I know you need, the A+ stuff in October. I'm really hoping that I'm really believing in Dane Dunning and Martin Perez. It's probably not going to work out for me, but I'm going to stick to it. One last little flyer question of the like big names. If the Rangers could make a big splash for somebody who we didn't include in our big two of the Keller / Bednar or Ohtani, who would you trade for of the guys that you think is available?
Is there any chance that Juan Soto's available?
No, there's literally no. I think you would have to murder AJ Preller violently to get him away.
Okay. Oh geez. You want to give yours first, and I'll think on it a second.
I'll give you three options, and I'll take one of them.
Okay.
I think my options are Dylan Cease, Justin Verlander, or Max Scherzer. Those are my big three, and I would take on all the money for both of those big guys to get my shot to lessen the prospect capital. I think Cease is my option of those. Although I might go Verlander just for it to be hilarious to like laugh at Mets fans. Like, yeah, you lost DeGrom and you gave up Verlander, the guy who you replaced him with. How did that work out for you guys? But I think I'm going Cease. So of those two Mets guys, which would you go with?
Ooh, Cease is who I would have gone with. I don't really want either of the Mets guys.
Okay, well then I'll give you Cease and I'll take Verlander for the memes.
Okay, deal. I'll go Cease.
Man, that would be a lot of fun. I really think that Cease might be the like low-key one the Rangers do their big move on, because Keller could be expensive, Bednar could be expensive, and could blow up in their faces. Ohtani, we know is going to be stupid expensive if he's even traded, and it would be very upsetting if the Rangers traded for one of those old guys, the Mets, just for the memes. I mean, it wouldn't be just for the memes, but if they also fell apart and were old on the Rangers. But to close this out, I don't know if you have a random Ranger prepared. I have one that we actually talked about this episode, so it kind of feels like cheating, but I don't think I've used him yet. He's actually still, I don't know if he's active right this second, but he has pitched in the major leagues this year. He was a Rangers draft pick out of San Juan, Puerto Rico in the 27th round of the 2010 MLB draft. He is a left-handed relief pitcher who was very weird. I think you already know who I'm talking about. Who does not throw very hard. He's got a weird changeup. Yep, exactly.
Okay. One of my favorite Rangers players from his time in Frisco to his time in the big leagues. Just a joy to watch.
He really was, and he was so good too. Like had a sub-3 ERA every year outside of his final year in Texas. Like it's just nuts and so fun. Yes,
just wonderful.
Can you tell me the last team he pitched for in the big leagues, which was this year? One outing, 1 out recorded, and 2 hits given up.
Okay,
so 0 ERA.
He left us to go to Milwaukee. From there, he went to the Angels.
He did.
It's a team that's not the Angels, right?
It's not the Angels. I'll give you that. He went to the Mets the next year, and the team he was with this year is in the National League.
Man, as the number one Alex Claudio stan, I should know this.
You should. I don't know if you're number one.
I'm gonna say he feels like a Miami Marlin.
Nope. Milwaukee. He went right back to Milwaukee this year.
Okay.
For a whole out. I don't know if he's active right now, but
way to go, Alex.
Good for him. Good for him getting on the board.
Getting
that paycheck. All right. Did you give yours and I just spaced out?
No. I've got mine. It is a very recent one. He was here just last year. Kind of a strange signing the last week of the season. He played 3 games, 11 at-bats, went 3 for 11 all singles with 1 huge RBI and a lasting legacy. Do you remember who they signed
I do.
randomly?
Is it Kevin Plawecki?
It is Kevin Plawecki.
That's a great one. It's not often you can pull one from literally last year. I actually just got an idea to pull one from last year for next time. And I feel really good about it. I don't know if you'll remember it because I don't know that I really remember it. But yeah, Kevin Plawecki, that's a great one.
Yeah, he's I still don't really know why they did it.
I don't either. It makes literally no sense at all. But
Yeah,
they did it and it
they
happened.
did. Forever a Ranger and a great Immaculate Grid resource.
Very much a great Immaculate Grid resource, which I am absolutely terrible at, despite watching way too much baseball for my own good. I just can't remember anything in the moment. There's too much. I can't, as Jake Peralta once said, I can't take the trivia press. I can't take it. But Grant, where can the fine folks listening find you and all of your good work?
Baseballprospectus.com.
Not .net or edu.
Well, you can try it. I haven't checked to see if it redirects you. But I will say you'd learn a lot. So I would say yes.
I feel like it deserves a .edu if it doesn't have it already. But great stuff from Grant on Baseball Prospectus, contributing to that top 50 and also including several Rangers in there. Should make them higher. But as we've established in this episode, Grant is an absolute hater, but a joy to have on the podcast with his random Ranger knowledge and his fake trades that are actually real trades that are actually the fakest of trades. Grant, thank you so much for joining me. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully some of these fake trades come true and the Rangers are dealing in all kinds of prospect capital for these big names. And maybe, just maybe, they can sign Shohei Ohtani in the offseason if they don't make this big trade for him. But thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy First Place Texas Rangers baseball.